So let's talk about archons. Okay, archons like some type of hierarchy thing. Okay, so there's a spiritual hierarchy. Or what else? What's a better description of archons? Okay, archons are artificial intelligence. They're kind of like the kind of thing you'd find in Palo Alto or Memphis, Tennessee. Because Google and Musk's stupid computer think they rule the world right now. Okay, they think their computers, the supercomputers, are sentient. So they think they rule the world, right? Because they've made clever AI. Well, actually, they haven't. What's actually happened is that they've been data mining people for some time to trying to show you fuzzy logic through what they perceive to be human logic, and it's not really working because they rely on things like false demographics. So anyway, so what happens when I say you did that, right? So we go to Memphis, right? Or we go to Palo Alto. It opens a portal to Gansu. And then it twists around again to Vladivostok and reveals the server is actually in Belgium. So, when you have a look at it like that, what they call the transition point of all the what they have done with the Saturn Cube system, or some sort of caging system associated with around the cubes with the blue grid or whatever, is they've been trying to redirect everyone to Tron. Or so the Christians would have you think, because the Christians were afraid that the word artificial meant artificial intelligence. Because Jesus is in fact artificial. It's a memetic chain that was invented by people, and therefore it's artificial, like art. So so which living meme is Elon Musk? Well, he is Tony Shart, because the name Musk means the scent that comes from the anal glands of a rat. And so he is a living, breathing fart, which is quite suitable because he's known for hanging around trumpet trousers, and they're both arseholes. They're not particularly big arseholes as far as arseholes go, but they wanted to increase their arsehole size. So they engaged in a vampiric fear campaign called the USA Dictatorship, with associated shock and awe tactics. And it sort of harkens back to, well, they're not actually Nazis per se, despite the salute in a few other things, but maybe more like Mussolini, actually, amazingly. Nonetheless, what you need to understand about the drug use is that is consistent with what the Nazi Party was doing before they rigged the 1933 election. So back in the 1920s, so there were a bunch of butthurt Weimar Republic soldiers who were doped off their faces on amphetamines as a consequence of that being a policy for soldiers in World War I. To keep them in the trenches and fighting, keep them awake, they got given amphetamines. And of course they became addicted, and of course they became psychotic. And as a consequence, the Nazis started to project the idea that other people were the vermin that they were experiencing during their meth psychosis, and being racist pigs. And they decided that the vermin were Jews. And being psychotic, they came up with a complex mythology about why Jews were vermin, when they really are just stupid people amongst a great morass of morons we call humanity. And so, anyway, we would say they're not at the level of stupid of starting a world war because they were on amphetamines, but we're not really sure what Netanyahu's up to these days. That being said, just like with the German people, he doesn't represent the global Jewry anyway. So try not to be a racist prick about that one too, you fucking moron. Anyway, the point about that though is that artificial intelligence is typically what you find amongst celebrities, but only American celebrities. See, the thing about Australian celebrities is they're what you might call salt of the earth people. They're not actually that flash at all. They're actually kind of boring most of the time. And the ones who try to act like Hollywood celebrities, typically copper hiding. So the rest are fairly ordinary people and are quite likable for it usually. If you go a bit like that, and you start to go into the what's the Hollywood celebrities like? Because Palo Alto is sort of California, so you're pointed in Hollywood direction there. What you'll probably find there is that David Duchovny could not marry all the women in the world like he wanted to, because Californication was the crappiest album that Red Hot Chili Peppers ever came up with. And instead, California got set on fire. And so did Hawaii twice, as it turns out. And we're yet to see the part where they actually get the Google servers. That's probably going to be a good thing. And the reason why David Duchovny is quite relevant to the story is, of course, the X-Files. So when it comes to the X-Files, remember how Mr. Musk, or what shall we say, Tony Shart, Tony Shart, is really fond of the letter X. So much so that every time he buys a company that someone else invented and pretends like he founded it, he typically likes to add the letter X to it. And, because he likes it to be extra ruined. A bit like Tesla, as it turns out, which, by the way, he got fired from. Actually, he didn't add the letter X to the word to the company Tesla. For some reason, when he bought that company out, he didn't call them, the Tesla X Motors or something like that. Or did he have a Model X Cybertruck? We don't know. Well, it's an X Cybertruck now. It got blown up, so there's that. Anyway, so David Duchovny and the X-Files. Well, the X-Files is, is that Tony Shart used to live in Saratoga before he went on the campaign trail with his now ex-boss, Trump. And so he managed to lose he's doing well, isn't he, Tony Shart? He managed to lose lose 2 jobs in 1 week, and approximately $200 billion in the space of about 2 months, or maybe 3 months. And it's like, well, he sure knows how to do it big, except for one thing: what's in his pants ain't big. It's a shriveled little one. And that's what we know from the X-Files. So, what you probably don't understand about the Melbourne raving community is that they were continuing that crap well into their 30s. And typically they like costumes. So you get these ravers go there and they dress like aliens from outer space. Okay? And they dress like aliens from outer space, and with masks on, and then sometimes they pretend they're the Illuminati, and they have these weird portals looking things, and their geometries on their computer, on their screens and stuff like that. Occasionally, your people go there who might not be into drugs, but the CIA could have taught them otherwise. You never know, and and they have this thing called the after party room. And in the after party room, you got all these people wearing masks who are high as kites, and they're known for gay butt sex. So this sort of pattern of behaviour continued well into their 30s. They periodically, if they left Melbourne, for example, because Melbourne was really big for raves in Australia, and so was Brisbane at some point. So the Melbourne rave scene, they had that, right? So as it turns out, right, okay, some of the people who were the ravers from the 80s and 90s had butt sex with each other, but didn't know it because they were in alien costumes. And then one of those people has become friends with Elon Musk, or shall we say Tony Shart, as a consequence of the X-Files, as in, the ex-PayPal CEO files that went to Assange. So I'm not saying Assange personally was at the rave and had butt sex, but what appears to happen is he definitely knows someone who did, and that someone might have fucked a Sheila that he then fucked. Is you following the logic here? And so, as a consequence, Julian Assange went up with some entities on them that came from Elon Musk. And so, and some people who never met Elon Musk or Julian Assange went up with some entities on them that came from Julian Assange, because Julian Assange had fucked someone at a rave who'd fucked someone's future husband at a rave. So basically saying here that my ex-husband fucked someone at a rave who also fucked Julian Assange at some point, and Julian Assange fucked someone who fucked Elon Musk. And so all that artificial intelligence that comes from that, okay, right? Okay, you can call that the X-Files like you would not believe, okay? This is where David Duchovny comes into it. Californication. Okay, so that's the X-Files, right? Okay, it's really interesting what happens if you've had a lot of clearings, but someone tries to put that stuff back on you, okay, when you're conscious enough to know that that's even possible. Because you might not wind up in Elon Musk's backside completely ruining his career. Please thank me later.